Tonight, is vaping making teens sick?
My chest felt like it was collapsing and tightening up, and I couldn't breathe.
Some are developing severe lung disease after using e-cigarettes. We look at the public health investigation.
This is lunacy.
The chill on climate change, why environmental groups fear they'll be silenced during the election.
We just felt like dirty being there.
And Airbnb shut down a bad host. So how was he able to keep operating? A CBC News investigation. This is The National. There's growing concern tonight about e-cigarettes and teenagers. This after dozens in the U.S. were treated for serious breathing problems. The Centers for Disease Control is investigating 94 cases of severe lung illness associated with vaping in 14 states, all of them this summer. And so, as Christine Birak explains, that has health officials here in Canada watching very closely.
I would say like my chest felt like it was collapsing and tightening up, and I couldn't breathe.
Just 18 years old, Chance Amarada thought he was having a heart attack.
I just freaked out, and they said, your lung has collapsed. You have to go to surgery right now.
Turns out doctors found a hole in his right lung. The surgeon who repaired it said it could have come from something he'd been inhaling. Amarada says he's never smoked, but started using e-cigarettes over a year ago.
They go from healthy adolescents to really in a life-threatening situation.
In just a month and a half, nearly 100 young patients have shown up in hospitals experiencing pneumonia-like symptoms, including coughing, shortness of breath, and fatigue. Some even required ventilators to help them breathe.
They don't fit anything else that we have previously worked on, understood about lung disease that's more typical in teens.
It's not clear what e-cigarette brand or products they were using or what substances they were inhaling. One Wisconsin teen did report vaping THC, an active ingredient in marijuana. The American Vaping Association, representing e-cigarette makers, believes drugs may be what's causing the lung damage, not nicotine.
Although we haven't heard anything in Canada yet, I think it's just a matter of time.
A recent Canadian study found that teen vaping rose by 74% in 1 year. Doctors say they simply don't know the long-term effects of vaping.
One would just hope that we don't make the same mistake that was done with cigarette smoking 50 years ago before people became aware of its harm.
Amarada says he quit using e-cigarettes. Through social media, he's now encouraging others to do the same.
I used to vape for about 2 years now, and I finally decided to stop. I didn't know I'd be able to reach people from all around the world, and it really just touches my heart.
Hoping some good can come from the worst day of his life. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, Health Canada issued a statement saying it has reached out to colleagues in the U.S. and that we will continue to carefully monitor as more information becomes available and will take action if warranted. Well, now to a CBC News investigation. Questions tonight about how Airbnb protects its guests. A couple of months ago, it froze the account of one of its top hosts in Canada, somebody calling themselves AJ. Now, AJ boasted dozens of listings until he was quietly suspended. And yet, as Valerie Willette explains, there were still people who only found out what they'd gotten themselves into on the day they showed up.
Oh, no. When she isn't running after her 2 kids, Stacey Lapierre is running her online business. And this Nova Scotia mom decided she needed a vacation.
Yeah, this is the one that we booked.
Using Airbnb, she rented a loft in Montreal for her and some girlfriends for $200 a night. It was listed by AJ and had lots of great reviews in April. But when she and her friends walked in the door in July, they could not believe what they saw.
The floors were disgustingly dirty. There was broken mugs. There was yellow shower curtain. Like, it was just like, where are we? Like, this did not look like what we had booked.
We just felt like dirty being there.
She pulled up the listing again. Now it was littered with terrible reviews. Big disappointment with this apartment. Decrepit and dirty. Mold in the bathroom and dirty tub. Cockroaches in the kitchen. Airbnb had blocked the host from taking new bookings, but that was weeks before Lapierre and her friends arrived. She had no idea until we told her.
If he was suspended in June, I would have had ample time to get my money back.
In fact, a CBC News investigation earlier this year revealed the host, who uses the name AJ, offered more than 90 listings on Airbnb in Montreal, nearly the most out of anyone in Canada.
So it kind of stood out with the poker table. And
André Caron also booked one of those properties. After AJ was suspended, Caron noticed the same apartment now being offered by someone named Barry. Skeptical, Caron cancelled.
I think enough bad reviews should essentially ban you from the site.
Both Caron and Lapierre want to know what Airbnb is doing to protect customers. Once we started asking questions, both AJ and Barry's accounts were completely shut down by Airbnb.
Okay, so Valerie, what does Airbnb have to say about all of this?
Well, the company says that the main reason why it shut down both accounts is because they were violating its policies. They also say that any traveler that has ongoing or pending bookings with these two accounts will be fully refunded. The company also mentioned that it does monitor and surveil the exchanges and the reviews between guests and hosts to some extent for quality control. But it still hasn't said why it did not warn these travelers who had already booked with those specific guests.
Right, and so if people want to be more proactive when they're booking on sites, be it Airbnb or some other site that's similar, what ought they to do?
Well, I would say the main takeaway from this story is don't book it and forget it. If you book something online because you think it has great reviews and you like it, then make sure it stays that way. Keep checking in regularly, especially if you booked months in advance.
Because in this case, the reviews changed over time?
In this case, that's exactly what happened. The reviews changed over time. That's what happened for Stacy Lapierre, for example.
Interesting story. Valerie, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Now, contrary to Airbnb's popular image, many of Canada's top hosts are, in fact, multi-million-dollar enterprises. Some of them are open about being companies, as opposed to just being some traveler-friendly homeowner. But take Jen. She has 162 listings in the Ottawa area. Her profile says she moved there 9 years ago, has a dog named Jerry. What it doesn't say is she's the owner of Ottawa's biggest Airbnb management company. Other top hosts like Seb, based in Toronto, are even more mysterious. Back in April, he was known as Mike. Some earlier reviews referred to him as Hakeem. But whoever he is, he's got an Airbnb empire of 61 listings with a staggering 8,000 plus reviews. His photo, a stock image used widely online. 9 weeks out from Election Day, the federal parties are keen to grab your attention and to frame the issue so that you might see things their way. Well, tonight we have two stories on how those messages get to you. The Conservatives plan to charge journalists much less than usual to travel with their leader during the campaign. Does that amount to subsidizing coverage? We'll talk about it. But first, the sudden chill around climate. An environmental group raised fears today that election rules could stop it from running ads that say climate change is real. But as Salima Shivji found, it's a little more complicated than that.
It's an issue they're all talking about.
We have to be doing more to fight climate change.
Climate change is real, and it represents a serious threat.
And the scientific consensus has been overwhelmingly clear for too long.
We're in a climate emergency.
But there's one outlier. On what causes climate change, Maxime Bernier stands alone.
I didn't say that it's not real. What I'm saying is the main reason for climate change, it is not human activity.
And that means it could be deemed a partisan election issue by Elections Canada.
And it's because of climate change.
So paid ads created by environmentalists would have to be tracked if a group spends more than $500 on them, even if they don't mention a specific party. Some environmental groups worry they're being muzzled.
Why is the law structured in a way that silences people speaking the truth about a scientific reality during the election cycle? But we are not going to break the law, so we're going to be silenced.
For him, there's no debate and the science is clear, but experts say it's not so cut and dried.
Now, some people may feel that the environment is something that everyone agrees with, and therefore there's no issue. But that's not the case.
Elections Canada spent the day trying to explain the rules, saying what becomes a partisan election issue will be decided on a case-by-case basis. But that didn't stop the political attacks from flying on this issue several parties want to own.
If Max Bernier were to announce tomorrow smoking is good for you, do those doctors have to register as a third-party organization in order to say what's true about medical science? This is lunacy.
I think the whole question highlights the fact that it's so frustrating that there are still conservative politicians in this country who don't think that climate change is real.
And even the man whose position triggered the controversy tweeted his disdain for the rule, calling it absurd. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now, let's take a look at how election news gets to you. I mentioned the Conservatives plan to charge journalists considerably less than usual to travel around the country with the leader. It's opened up all kinds of questions about why they're doing that. Katie Simpson takes us through it.
Before making it to a moment like this, national party leaders have to do a lot of this.
Great to see you guys. Great to see you.
Journalists are there for every step and misstep of the Cross Canada campaign. But as the industry continues to lose revenue, fewer reporters, particularly from newspapers, are traveling with the leaders. In a bid to get more coverage, one party is offering reporters a ride on its leaders tour at a dramatically lower price than previous campaigns.
We have a great story to tell, and we want to make sure that we get that story in front of Canadians in as many possible ways as we possibly can.
To cover airfare, bus rides, Wi-Fi, and office space, the Conservatives want to charge news outlets $11,500 per journalist for the duration of the campaign. The NDP says it will charge journalists $45,000. The Liberals are still working on their number. The Conservatives say they don't want the low price to attract fringe outlets and advocacy groups, including the ultra-right-wing, ultra-controversial website The Rebel, will not be granted accreditation on the Leaders Tour. Conservative sources say The Rebel would be a distraction.
I don't think a cut rate or a lowballed price is going to actually result in any kind of more favorable coverage.
This former NDP strategist says she understands wanting more coverage, but has concerns the Conservatives may be subsidizing travel for journalists. Elections Canada says it can't track whether parties are over or undercharging news outlets.
There's no way for Elections Canada to determine that because the campaign reports they submit are not to that level of granular detail.
The Conservatives insist this is not subsidized travel, saying the price is what it would be for a journalist to follow the tour in the most obvious and economic way possible. It'll be up to the individual news organizations as to whether they get on board. A spokesperson for CBC News says that it's looking into the price discrepancy and will not have any party subsidize its costs. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Ottawa.
Canada's federal court has approved a class action lawsuit settlement for former students of government-run Indian day schools. Students say they endured the same abuse and neglect as those at live-in residential schools. And as Karen Pauls explains, they'll now share almost $1.5 billion in compensation.
Margaret Ann Swan's phone and social media exploded after she posted this on Facebook.
I am emotional. Just got the phone call. The day school lawsuit is approved.
Federal day school students launched this class action after they were not included in the 2006 settlement for residential school survivors.
There was physical, emotional, sexual abuse. There was a lot of belittling.
Compensation payments will range between $10,000 and $200,000, depending on the abuse and neglect experienced. Up to 140,000 former students are eligible, including the families of anyone who has died since November 2007.
All this recognition that this did happen.
There have been criticisms about the process, the timing, and the $55 million going to lawyers. But anyone who doesn't like it can still opt out and sue the federal government directly.
This is always the first step. There'll always be concerns to make things better.
This is about their choice in how they go forward.
Ray Mason is one of the people who launched this federal day school lawsuit more than a decade ago. Now he's turning his attention to hundreds of day schools run by provinces, churches, and sanatoriums.
I'm like an old pit bull, like I don't give up until my job is done.
But he knows time is ticking. An estimated 1,800 survivors die every year. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
And some other stories we're following tonight. Justin Trudeau won't say if the man known as Jihadi Jack is welcome in Canada.
So you're not open to him coming to Canada?
We continue to recognize that it is a crime to travel for the purpose of engaging in terrorist activities.
Jack Letts was a dual citizen of Canada and the United Kingdom, but over the weekend, Britain revoked his citizenship because of his alleged support for the Islamic State. Trudeau is set to meet with UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson at this weekend's G7 summit, where this is expected to be discussed.
Yeah, Pantaleo, you may have lost your job, but I lost a son.
Eric Garner's mother reacting to the firing of Daniel Pantaleo today. He's the officer who is accused of using a banned chokehold on her son in 2014. The death of the 43-year-old sparked a national debate over race and the use of force by police, and recordings of his arrest also sparked years of protests. Well, turning now to Hong Kong, where it's been another day of relative calm and order after a weekend filled with protest against mainland China.
We acknowledge the protests were genuinely peaceful, so the police did not intervene.
Meanwhile, Chinese security forces continue to run drills just outside the city in neighboring Shenzhen. But while the government hasn't moved physically against demonstrators, it seems to have been busy online. Facebook and Twitter report an aggressive campaign to stir up Chinese nationalist and anti-Western sentiment. Both platforms say they've taken down mainland-based accounts for spreading disinformation. Twitter, in particular, which has already removed about 1,000 accounts, said in a statement, "Covert manipulative behaviors have no place on our service." Now, many wonder if Beijing will eventually clamp down. Much of that depends on whether demonstrations remain peaceful and whether they maintain popular support. Now, we have a reporter on the ground there, Chris Brown, and he took advantage of a relatively quiet day to see what people in Hong Kong think.
With all of the turmoil in Hong Kong lately, it's easy to forget that there are still moments of zen. Today we found people on their way home from work taking stock of the city's momentous events.
I think people are quite united.
But Joe Key was also uncertain about where the pro-democracy movement is heading.
But if you ask me, is it going to be changed? I feel quite negative about that, yes.
One thing organizers can't be disappointed with was Sunday's turnout. For the third time in less than 3 months, more than 1 million people took to the streets, demanding less interference from China in the city's affairs. Harder to evaluate is whether the ongoing rallies are getting the protesters any closer to their goals.
We want to protect them.
Organizer Bonnie Leung says she's hoping the unrest will eventually bring Hong Kong's chief executive to the bargaining table.
Because what we want is not any more weeks of protest. We want is a real result. So a dialogue has to happen.
But Carrie Lam and her bosses in Beijing have shown zero inclination of bending to any of the demonstrators' demands. No apology from police for heavy-handed tactics, including firing more than 2,000 rounds of tear gas, a lot of it within the last week. No independent inquiry into police actions, and certainly no promises about future legislation or holding free elections for the leader of Hong Kong.
We are seeing the beginning of the end.
This longtime ally of China's government told us he believes the protests will fizzle. No matter the number of people in the streets nor the level of violence, he says Beijing would never allow protesters to dictate who controls Hong Kong.
Eventually, the deadlock will disappear because people will seek other means of putting pressure on the government and on Beijing.
Those other means could be running anti-Beijing candidates in upcoming municipal elections. But pro-democracy advocates say ignoring them is a recipe for more unrest, especially from younger, more radicalized protesters who already feel unfairly targeted by police. Chris Brown, CBC News, Hong Kong.
And ahead tonight, they risked their lives to save a complete stranger, a young woman who fell off a dock, sinking still in her wheelchair. First thing.
You can't forgive a paedophile, in my view, if you're a member of the royal family.
The new video of Prince Andrew raising new questions about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. More fallout today in the wake of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide. U.S. Prisons Chief Hugh Hurwitz has been replaced. Kathleen Hawks Sawyer will take his place. She served as director of prisons from 1993 to 2003. Epstein took his own life inside a federal jail cell last week while awaiting trial for sex trafficking. Guards had neglected to check on him for hours. Now, in the UK, links to Epstein are creating a growing PR disaster for Buckingham Palace. A newly released video appears to show Prince Andrew at Epstein's Manhattan home in 2010, and that's after the disgraced financier had served time for sex crimes. Margaret Evans now with the new questions it's raising.
The Queen's favourite, so it's said, captured in images that have drawn the world's gaze back to his friendship with a registered sex offender. Prince Andrew peers out of Jeffrey Epstein's New York home in 2010. Young women and Epstein himself coming and going 2 years after the former hedge fund manager was convicted of having sex with a minor in a plea bargain widely condemned at the time as having been too soft.
What on earth was the Queen's son doing, a royal prince?
Andrew Pierce is a journalist with the Daily Mail. Its sister paper first published the video.
He shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have taken any phone calls from that man. You can't forgive a paedophile, in my view, if you're a member of the royal family.
Epstein was found dead in a New York jail cell in an apparent suicide earlier this month, while awaiting trial on charges of trafficking underage girls. Questions about his relationship with Prince Andrew date back to this 2001 photo, showing a then 17-year-old girl with the prince at an Epstein party. Her claims that she was forced to have sex with the royal were dismissed by a U.S. judge. The ties between the two men, though, have been a recurring object of speculation over the years. Epstein even helping bail Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, out of debt. For the royal family, it is a PR nightmare.
Today, Buckingham Palace issued a statement on Prince Andrew's behalf. It said, quote, "His Royal Highness deplores the exploitation of any human being and the suggestion that he would condone, participate in, or encourage any such behavior is abhorrent."
But it has called the judgment of the Queen's second son into question yet again.
This isn't going away for 1 minute, and of course we still don't know what's going to happen in the United States. The girls who claim they're abused by Epstein, just because he's dead, they'll probably sue his estate. There'll be all sorts of smoking guns in documents, which he's going to have to answer.
Small comfort to the institution they refer to here as the firm. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.
And up next, Paul Hunter takes us to the U.S.-Mexico border, above ground and below.
It's all belly crawl. They're all very small. If we get one that we can crawl on our hands and knees on, it's a luxury.
Up close with Border Patrol, straight ahead. Donald Trump's signature promise of a U.S.-Mexico border wall is mostly still just a promise. This week, a court challenge delayed construction of about 60 kilometers of wall in Arizona, and about 20 kilometers of existing wall was upgraded last week in California. As for new fencing, though, since Trump took office, there's about 80 kilometers to speak of so far. That leaves at least 2,000 kilometers to go. Under Trump, though, a political wall dividing Americans over immigration seems taller than ever as a humanitarian border crisis festers, rhetoric intensifies, and illegal crossings surge. Earlier this year, Paul Hunter went to get a firsthand look at what the wall really means at a place where it perhaps matters most.
In the small Arizona border town of Nogales, finding the border is simple. Just look for the big brown fence and the razor wire. It cuts through the town, dividing the U.S. from Mexico. And in the years of Donald Trump, it's come to symbolize America's complicated approach to its immigration challenges.
got his wallet too.
Equally easy to spot, evidence there's no easy solution, wall or no wall. This man, an alleged undocumented migrant, was caught and detained by U.S. Border Patrol agents just as we happened to be passing by. And he wouldn't be the only migrant detained by authorities on this day in Nogales.
I would be amazed if we're not being watched right now.
This is one of the things that we dealt with down here. These smugglers will sit on this hill and they will, like I said, guide people with cell phones.
U.S. Border Patrol agent Jake Stukenberg has pretty much seen it all. He agreed to spend a day with CBC News to show us firsthand the problem that neither his fellow agents nor politicians nor that border wall seem able to solve.
It is literally seconds from the time that someone jumps over comes over that fence right there, puts their feet on American soil and runs up to these areas over here, this recycling center, the junkyard. There's a million hiding places in there. So it's literally 30 seconds before they could be in a hiding place, and good luck finding them after that.
The wall, or some version of it, has been in place in this part of America for years. The razor wire, courtesy the current U.S. president, is new. It was uncoiled here just a few months ago. It's as sharp as you might imagine and offers evidence it's been put to the test already. See that? They call them cuts, gaps in the razor wire cut by migrants.
So this is one spot where they cut it. Obviously you can see they didn't cut this last strand down here, so that was effective, but if you go over here to the left, you'll see a large area.
Holy cow, look at this.
Yeah.
With the right tools and some determination, it becomes a clear pathway over the top. Says Stukenberg, the wall slows down illegal crossers, but also underlines it doesn't stop them. And evidence of that is everywhere, from discarded water bottles dumped at the last moment to handprints left behind on the fencing itself. And even though there are cameras throughout the area, not to mention patrols from above, fact is, illegal border crossings here happen almost all the time. Border agents in this district alone, we're told, catch and detain about 1,000 undocumented migrants every week. You've seen the images of migrants fleeing strife in Central America, hoping for a better life on the other side of that wall. They typically seek out agents to claim asylum once inside the U.S. Their fate then a complicated, politically charged challenge unto itself. Some of those who cross here are like that, but Border Patrol agents we met point to the drug trade and migrants making no claim for asylum as a key part of their challenge.
I'm spotting a scout right now on the south side under a tree, 2 of them.
Where?
Straight.
What do you see?
See that valley? Halfway up, there's 2 people walking, 3 people. You see them? You can get out. Those are either smugglers or they're people being smuggled or possibly a smuggler in those being smuggled. They might be on to us now, watching them.
The 3 soon disappear into a gully. But almost immediately, agents nearby signal other suspected smugglers in a car chase across town.
So 0 to 60 in a second, right?
Racing across Nogales, readying to step in if needed.
Sounds like potentially several undocumented individuals. And the vehicle started driving off. Agents got behind the vehicle, and everybody called a bailout, right? Bailed out of the vehicle. It's running right now.
Stukenberg tells us smugglers often show themselves at the wall to divert attention from others elsewhere, knowing there are only so many agents on patrol.
They're obviously bailed out of the vehicle, and sounds like they're running into the desert.
In this case, by the time we arrive, a suspected human smuggler was caught. Others with him still on the run out there somewhere as we drove by.
We've got agents out there on foot. Sounds like there's a possible canine out there.
Before the day's done, agents would catch and detain more than 150 suspected migrants in Stukenberg's area alone. And by the way, if you think the illegal crossings happen only over the border, consider what goes on underneath it. That's Kevin Hecht, who took us into a Border Patrol training tunnel deep enough underground to get a sense of how dark and cramped smuggling tunnels can be. This one is meant to mimic a small drainage pipe smugglers often make use of.
We make sure our agents, especially in this station in Nogales, are trained to be in these pipes, to clear them and check them, so that way these people don't have free reign to crawl underground in an underground environment.
Smugglers, he says, will dig towards these tunnels, cut into them, and shimmy into America. This hand-dug tunnel was found in Nogales just a few weeks ago. It was videotaped and then destroyed by authorities. Tunnels of this size, we're told, are used mostly for drugs. These days, typically fentanyl. The tunnels are too small for human smuggling.
It's all belly crawl. They're all very small. If we get one that we can crawl on our hands and knees on, it's a luxury. More of our stuff is pushing with your fingertips and your toes, and they're very tight.
To underline that, Hecht takes us further in, explaining what they look for. Cuts and hidden passageways from those other tunnels dug by hand.
So you have to go and look at the pipe and look for any change in the pipe. And then this will pop out, and behind it will be an illicit tunnel that you can crawl through to cross the border. So that's where they call interconnecting. And then once you're in this pipe and you're on the U.S. side of the border, why dig when you have this?
And then there's this place. Underneath downtown Nogales, a water drainage tunnel that crosses the border right underneath it.
How far down there is Mexico?
You're at the border.
This is the border?
Yes.
The gate, now locked in place and on the U.S. side of the border, does its job. The smuggling and other crime that used to happen here has ended.
Rapes, stabbings, drug smuggling, people smuggling, just you name it. It was a whole separate city underground. We haven't had any breaches or any attempts to breach in a long, long time, and I'm saying many years, since we put these gates in.
Back on top and further west, the wall, as it does in so many places along the border, just kind of ends, leaving significantly less of a barrier.
So this doesn't stop people from coming across, though, does it?
Oh, absolutely not.
It's that hard.
No. Well, obviously we're still in the United States, but this is where our infrastructure ends. So from here on, for several miles, over those mountains and beyond, this is what...
Barbed wire.
This is what delineates the U.S. from Mexico.
Stukenberg doesn't hide the fact that he's pro-wall. Policy, he says, is for politicians to set, but a wall, he says, at least slows down those who try to cross, if only briefly.
We know that if you build a 100-foot wall, they're going to bring a 101-foot ladder. We know that, but that gives us a situational awareness that an incursion is happening, and if we see an incursion happening, then we have a very good chance that we will either deter those individuals back to Mexico or make an apprehension.
Short answer, if you want a secure border, question for the country, build a wall.
Give us the tools necessary to do our job.
But even Trump supporters underline a wall unto itself isn't enough.
This is one little herd that hangs out down here.
Arizona rancher John Ladd calls the border wall a speed bump. He figures that over the years he's seen tens of thousands of migrants crossing into his property illegally, even though at the south end of his ranch sits a wall with extra razor wire.
Well, that's a doggy door fix right there, where you're talking about people coming through. That's what we call them, doggy doors.
Doggy doors.
Doggy doors are cuts in a less fortified part of the fence made by migrants, sometimes small, sometimes not so small, some for people, some for drugs.
Full-size trucks drove through here?
Yeah, full of marijuana.
The drug trade here has slowed in recent years, but, says Ladd, only when he convinced local authorities to help border agents push back against it. He tells us a Mexican cartel owns one of the ranches just on the other side of his. And even while drug smuggling has eased...
But the people continue.
The people continue. I'd say right now they're catching 50 a week on us.
Just on your land?
Yeah.
Ladd likes Trump's stand on the wall and immigration. Yes, it's all still unresolved, but Ladd blames that not on Trump, but on infighting among politicians broadly.
I have zero confidence in Washington right now. Even there's probably 20 people back there that understand it, but that isn't enough. They're not supporting anything on the border.
indeed, the divide in this country on what to do about any of it runs deep. East of Nogales, at another one of those places where the wall just stops, amid the emptied water bottles and discarded clothing, some caught in the razor wire, bottles of fresh water, and as well, toothpaste and toothbrushes, all left for those in need. Jane Story comes by regularly to check that everything's in good supply.
We come out in the desert, and if we find an immigrant that needs help, we give them food, water, we give them medical care.
Her specific concern that in chasing the bad guys, authorities go too hard on those simply seeking asylum.
I hate this whole, they're not drug dealer. I mean, yes, there could be, but these are desperate people who cannot make a living in their country.
Which brings us back to the Border Patrol. Jake Stukenberg says he takes no joy in apprehending migrants, whatever led them here. And like so many in America, he has no perfect answer to the border's challenges.
If I had the magic wand, very simple. I would eliminate the cartels. Eliminate the cartels from the face of the earth. What happens then? You get rid of the #1 facilitator for narcotics into our country. You get rid of the #1 facilitator for illegal immigration. You get rid of the #1 facilitator of corruption in other countries. If I could do one thing to make this world a better place and getting rid of the immigration problem right here, it'd be get rid of the cartels.
Until then, he says, he's just doing his job. And as night falls in Arizona, the seemingly unending patrols continue. Paul Hunter, CBC News, outside Nogales, Arizona.
Well, next on The National, some say it's terrifying, creepy, even nightmarish. The story behind this giant hand. But first,
you can see his sharp little teeth.
Fighting a deadly infection killing millions of bats across North America. That's right after the break.
I'm Jamie Poisson, and tomorrow on CBC's daily news podcast, Front Burner, a story about how environmental groups are worried Elections Canada is muzzling them right before a national election blew up over the last few days. We get to the bottom of it. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. A wildfire is still burning out of control in Spain. About 9,000 people have fled the island of Gran Canaria. The coastal area is a popular tourist spot, and so far the blaze is mainly in the mountainous central part of the island, but tonight flames reached a natural park that's home to some of the island's oldest pine forests. More than 700 firefighters are working to contain the fire. A faulty fuel valve is being blamed for an oil spill at Newfoundland's Hibernia platform. The malfunction yesterday set off a chain reaction that overflowed the platform's waste drainage system, spilling 2,200 liters of oil into the ocean. And regulators say they are searching for links to another spill at the platform just last month. And one of Canada's top medal contenders in next year's Olympics has been temporarily suspended for a doping violation. Sprint canoeist Laurence Vincent Lapointe recently tested positive and so will not take part in this week's World Championships in Hungary. Now, Vincent Lapointe insists she's done nothing wrong, and Canoe Kayak Canada says it is behind her, suggesting she may have unknowingly used a prohibited substance. Okay, now to a deadly fungus targeting bats. They are a vital part of the ecosystem, and they're in big trouble across North America. White nose syndrome started in the east and is rapidly spreading west. But as Greg Rasmussen shows us, a new experiment hopes to stop the disease from hitting British Columbia.
Yep, that's good, thank you.
For Leah Rensel, there's nothing better than dipping your hands into a bin full of angry bats.
And this colony, I think, has upwards of 700 little bats, all in these bat boxes. You can see his sharp little teeth. They're so tiny. If he bites me, it can't even break the skin.
Despite the occupational hazards, researchers are trying to save these bats in British Columbia from a disease that's wiping out colonies across North America killing bats by the million.
White nose syndrome is being touted as the most catastrophic wildlife disease to hit North America in recorded history.
It's caused by a fungus that slowly weakens the animals until they die of starvation. Losing them has consequences because bats play a vital role in pest management, some eating up to 1,000 insects every hour.
They're out cleaning up things in gardens, right? Crops, forests. If we don't have bats, if our natural predator is basically gone from the night skies, then pesticide use will rise. Yeah, well, let's just get this first one done.
Scientists don't yet know the long-term impact on the ecosystem of such a drastic decline. To prevent the disease hitting British Columbia, a large new experiment is being launched.
White nose prevention on the way. Ooh, she's coming down.
Bat houses are being sprayed with a naturally occurring bacteria that inhibits the deadly fungus.
I have a lot of hope that this is going to work.
Nick Fontaine helped isolate and test strains of bacteria that show promise in protecting the bats.
To actually make an impact on preventing bats from actually going extinct or dying by the millions, that's amazing. So I like to just open.
The hope is these bats will spread the helpful bacteria to others as they migrate and mate, inoculating them against the fungus.
This was the first one we did here.
Testing the theory is a lot of work, bagging, tagging, swabbing hundreds of bats, looking for the disease and later to find out if the treatment works.
Bats. Bats are particularly cool.
So the cool thing about these guys' wings?
Enthusiastic but fearful, Rensel worries if it can't be stopped, white nose will eventually decimate these BC bats.
If we were to see the same catastrophic crashes as elsewhere in North America, that would have some long-lasting consequences for our ecosystem.
Overall, this program will cost several $100,000, involving universities, wildlife conservation groups, and volunteers.
Right now, everything is going very smoothly. We're quite excited, but we won't really know how things have performed until next summer.
High hopes for a project designed to save these creatures of the night from a deadly disease.
Here you go, Amy. You can get your bat back. Okay.
Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, Port Coquitlam, BC.
And the moment is up next on The National, but first. In case you missed it, art has always been subjective. From Michelangelo's David to Jonathan Borofsky's Ballerina Clown to London's Headington Shark to Moose Jaw's Mac the Moose. One person's beauty is another person's beast. But then there's Quasi, who inhabits a strange, some might say deeply unnerving place in between. It's by New Zealand artist Ronnie Van Hout. The work has spent years looming over the Christchurch City Gallery. But now, Quasi is sitting atop his new home over City Gallery in Wellington. That's the country's capital. And that, very quickly, stirred up all kinds of emotions from delight to disgust to abject horror. So, what is Quasi exactly? Well, it's a partial self-portrait, a combination of 3D scans Van Hout made of himself, one of his face, one of his own hand. He calls it a cheeky play on the idea that the hand is the artist's true source of genius, which may or may not be true, but if nothing else, it's certainly a cheeky way to trigger a debate on public art. Well, for those on vacation, life can be pretty peaceful in the U.S. Virgin Islands. But last week, panic pierced the air when a cruise ship passenger plunged off a dock, her wheelchair pulling her underwater. Two locals who were welcoming tourists saw it happen, and one of them selflessly sprang into action. But that's when things got complicated. It's tonight's moment.
That day was a day that will be with us for the rest of our life. Yep.
We just heard a lot of noise. I heard a lot of screaming and stuff like that. So I ran past the security gate and I looked over the dock and I see the young lady in the water, in the wheelchair. And that sudden instant just made me jump right in the water.
The look in his face, you could see he's like, I can't go no more. I can't go no more. I can't go no more. So I'm like, nah, I can't. I'm not about to lose my friend. So I jumped in the water and I swam up to them, got both of them above the water.
As you see, I was real out of it. I was drained. I was still scared. I was still shocked. It's nice. We're getting a lot of feedback from family, friends around the world. And we saved a life, and I feel special.
We're glad that we're here today because at any moment it could have went left, and it could have been 3 lives instead of 1.
Yeah, so incredibly, they indeed saved a life that day. And better than that, I mean, the woman is unhurt. She's doing pretty well. And you just think about that first guy who jumped in the water. I mean, he jumped in fully clothed with his shoes on. I can tell you, it is not easy to swim with your shoes on. So good for him for keeping himself afloat and keeping her afloat as well. That's The National for this August 19th. Have a good night.